Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany, and this is my channel, The Little Lightworker. Thank you for tuning in today. So today, I actually want to talk about something sad and tragic today, which is I just want to share my thoughts on the whole ASTROWORLD situation. And if you don't know or aren't aware, this was supposed to be a 2-day pretty much music festival headlining this artist named Travis Scott. This was his created festival, and it was supposed to be 2 days, and it ended up only being 1 day because it was just chaotic, and unfortunately some people didn't make it out. Some people lost their lives that day, and there were a lot of people unaccounted for and loads more people injured, and it's just an all-around tragic and really sad situation. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because festivals, concerts really hold a special place in my heart. I have had some of the best nights of my life going to concerts with my favorite music artists, going to rock concerts, and going to electronic music festivals. And I've really had these just life-changing experiences during them. And so when I was sitting with the energy of this, and I was absorbing and reading what people were sharing and seeing images and everything, and just wrapping my head around the situation, it just made me feel really sad. And I found myself getting really immersed in this for hours yesterday, and it's something that I felt like I needed to do. I wanted to see for myself, look at things for myself without kind of hearing an outside story, and that's what I like to do when there's certain events I feel called to tap into. I like to see things for myself and develop my own opinion. And with that, I also made loads of observations on what people were speaking about, how people's feelings were, and everything. And I felt like what people were focusing on, almost as much as the deaths themselves, if not more, was this energy of needing to, I will say, blame. And of course, in any situation, there's always something to look into. There's always a lesson to be learned. And unfortunately, throughout history, there are countless times again and again where we learn things the hard way. And from that, we learn to improve situations so that those things don't repeat themselves, especially when it comes to people dying, passing on. And I feel like with this situation, because this was someone that was kind of associated with high-profile people, I felt like there was just a very interesting energy towards it. This day and age, whenever anything happens, people go on the internet immediately to speculate, especially when there's not a ton of information on it, or there hasn't been a ton of official statements or official records or autopsies or loads of witness accounts that are considered official or documented. People become very impatient in our day and age, and they just speculate, and this energy of speculation spreads like rapid fire when it's combined with the internet, because it's so fast for people to just use their fingers to type in their thoughts, their speculations, and then spreading that, and it spreads like wildfire, and then things get taken on as being actual facts. And I feel like with this situation, for me, how I personally feel, not listening to what anyone else's opinions are, but what do I personally feel about it? I feel like this is a situation where there were so many different factors going on that it was just the perfect storm for tragedy and it was like a recipe for disaster. I don't think that it's one person's fault or one particular thing that happened or this specific person's agenda. I genuinely don't think that. I think that it just was the right amount of wrong things to be together for it to be catastrophic and traumatizing. Another thing I want to point out is that there were supposedly around 50,000 accounted for, assuming people that went to this event, which is really hard to say specifically how many people went because there were so many people that went that weren't supposed to be there. So it's very hard to really get a precise number on that. But with that being said, if we want to take this number of 50,000 people, you have to understand that that means 50,000 people means there are 50,000 different perspectives and interpretations of what happened that night. There were people that passed on, people that they were injured who had really horrific, traumatizing experience. And there were other people who went and weren't even aware that anyone had passed away until the next day, until they were seeing it all over social media and the news. So I feel like that is something that people don't always realize, is that you don't see things exactly the same way as the person next to you, as the person across from you. And in particular, I feel like I have been around entertainment industry for a very long time, and I feel like I understand, as someone who has been on a stage many times, that your perspective from a stage is very different from an audience perspectives. So that's another thing. Now you can, let's theorize, you can say, where there are dark forces at play. Was this a harvesting situation? Was this a ritual? Was this a sacrificial type thing? And I want to point you to the reality that rituals are so embedded in your everyday life that you don't even realize that you participate in rituals. When you sing someone happy birthday, when you're celebrating a holiday, even the simple act of taking a shower, praying, setting up your meditation space, journaling, we are constantly doing rituals, whether we are aware of them or not. Ritual doesn't automatically equal something negative. Now, when we combine the energy of people who are at concerts, yes, when you are closed in with a bunch of people, thousands of people, yes, there is a certain collective energy that can happen. Mass hysteria is a real thing. Public pandemonium is a real thing. And hysteria in general is a real thing. There's a surge of energy that happens when you are with other people, because your energy fields are literally just lapping over each other. And when you feel excited about something, that's why when you see people when they're at games or when they're at concerts or where they're at things where a lot of people are together, there's a certain kind of like bonding that happens. When people talk about an event such as this being a harvest ritual, being an event where souls were harvested, I just want to point you to the reality is that concerts, events, even mass gatherings are not the only places where a soul can be harvested. And when I say soul being harvested, how I personally feel about it, sitting with myself, consulting with my highest self and my guides about it, I feel that when people talk about soul harvesting, I feel like they imagine like this demonic entity coming down and like snatching, like a dementor, snatching that soul, but the soul like goes away forever to this like hell dimension or something like that. But really it's just energy is being fed. They are taking your energy for themselves because there are certain entities, certain dark, negative entities that are soulless and that do prey on the light, the energy of certain beings that carry that. And they do it for their own gain because they don't have that within themselves, so they need to feed off of those who have it. It's like a parasitic type of situation. But events, concerts, things like this, these are not the only places where your energy can be fed off of. And I mentioned this in my last video that I made. And I was talking about succubus energy, incubus energy. This can happen anywhere. It can happen at Walmart. It can happen at Target. It can happen inside your house. It can happen walking in the forest. It can happen by you being by one person, or by being by no one, or by being by 100 people. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is not exclusive. Like, this is not a situation where there's a concert and there's an opportunity to have this harvesting. These are not the only times. And I'm not saying this for you to be scared, for you to be freaked out, for you to never want to leave your house, for you to never want to be in your house. I'm saying this to simply inform you, because when you are informed and you have the awareness, you're good. It's not something to be afraid of, to be like, oh, I should never want to go to concerts because there might be energies around me that don't have my best interest, that want to feed off of my energy. No. Live your life how you want to live your life. If you enjoy going to concerts, go to concerts. But just be mindful. Be smart. Do your best to protect yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, because being affected by other people's energies is a very real thing. And I think that there's not tons of common sense also being, I feel like people are looking so much at the spiritual aspect of this, that they are, in this particular situation, that they are losing the sensibility of being like crushed by thousands of people. That is a very real thing. Being swept up in the physical field of people, falling down. People are intoxicated everywhere, don't even know where they're at, because they willingly did drugs, they willingly drank alcohol, they're out of it. And then you also have to understand that this is coming after a year of where a lot of people feel like they lost a year of their lives. They've been so pent up inside because of the events of the world that are going on, that it's like letting a wild animal out of a cage. And when I say wild animal, I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, because I feel like people take that and they use it as like a weapon. No, like your primal animal, we all have this like innate primal thing that needs to be released, expressed naturally at times. Something else I wanted to say about this situation is that I feel like the older generations in general throughout history, and our time is no different, always really talk very poorly about the younger generations that are currently, the youth. We are no exception to that. My generation and the generations older than me, all the way up to the seniors, you know what I mean? Like, there are so much bad things that have been talked about this generation and the people, the specific demographic that went to this event, basically saying that they don't care about people, they don't have any humanity, just that they don't have common sense, that basically that they're like lost causes. These are not uplifting ways to talk about any age group, to talk about any person, specifically the younger generation. This younger generation is going to be the future parents. They are someone's future elders, future ancestors, future examples. They are laying down the path for their generations after them. Just wrap your head around that for a second. So wouldn't we want to speak life, to speak positivity into these people that are going to be controlling the future of everyone else? Were you not also a young person at once? So to say that the youth currently, that they don't have humanity, that they're lost, that they don't give a shit about people, when there are so many beautiful, amazing, kind young people. And there were a lot of people in this particular event that I'm talking about that did do their best to help people. There were a lot of people. Of course, there were also other people that didn't give a shit about other people and were just off on doing their own thing. But guess what? The same thing can be found in the older generations. There is nothing different except for the age. That's it. So that's something I really wanted to stress, because that just didn't sit right with me. When we look at situations like this and we choose to only look at the bad, when we choose to only look at the glass half empty instead of half full, we really do ourselves a disservice, and we really do the people who help others, who have good intentions for other people, who are doing their best, we really do them a disservice also by not acknowledging them. People that just genuinely want to look out for other people's best interests, people who put themselves in medical professions, for example, to help people. I do not know Travis Scott. I don't know him, and I'm not going to pretend that I do know him, and I'm not going to pretend that I know his thought process. I don't know what I don't know, and I will not pretend to. I'm not going to do that. And what I'm also not going to do is I'm not going to participate in what I perceive as public persecution. Our culture, our society, especially in the recent years, we've developed this cancel culture, which is really a metaphor for a modern day crucifixion. Make sure I say the word correctly. And it's really just picking a certain person or a certain group for a specific period of time and choosing to bash them and to be like, this person's bad, this person's evil, they're this, they're that, not remembering that we're all humans and we are all doing the best that we can. Even the people that you perceived as being lost or irredeemable, I personally don't believe that. And it's actually kind of really funny because this world, our planet, like Catholicism, Christianity, these are like, Christianity is like one of the biggest religions in the world. My ring light just went off. It's one of the biggest religions in the world. And a basis of these teachings is really the teachings of Jesus. But because we have been living in an inverted reality, in an inverted matrix for so long, people have taken like Jesus's teachings, saying that they believe in Jesus and that they would die for Jesus and this and that, but really forgetting the actual like truth core of what Jesus represented. That was compassion, unity, oneness, loving everyone, not just the people that you agree with, seeing the redeemable quality in everyone. Even if you believe that certain artists, certain celebrities, certain actors have sold their soul, I just personally refuse to see that as someone that's it for them. They're so lost, it's irredeemable, because what would we be fighting for? No one on this earth is perfect. We all fuck up, but we also all have the ability to redeem ourselves. And that's what I'm going to continue to believe. I think that being a celebrity or someone that's in the public eye on this planet is very interesting because there's this worshiping that happens. But on the flip side of that, the invert of that is being crucified. One minute people love you and they're praising you, and the next they're ready to publicly execute you. That is a very real thing that still happens in our modern day, and it's by bashing people, by just really throwing them through the mud and just being like, this person's a piece of shit and we should all collectively hate them and throw stones at them. I have no interest in personally participating in that energy anymore. I used to be a part of that, but I'm not interested in doing that anymore because that does nothing for me. And if I'm someone that's here, that's my intention is spreading light, understanding, compassion, unity for all, not just certain people that I like or only certain people that have the same opinions of me. I have to truly have compassion for all. So in this situation, whoever fucked up, dropped the ball, all of these things, it doesn't change the fact that people's lives were forever changed. People lost their lives. People are grieving over the situation. They lost their loved ones. And there's definitely, for sure, going to be things that will change from this point on in regards to future festivals. Like, that is just going to have to happen. But what I'm choosing to not do is I'm not choosing to be a part of feeding into this duality, feeding into conspiracy theories, because conspiracy theories, yeah, they can be really fun and you can really go down those rabbit holes for a period of time, but you can also pull yourself out of that, call your power back to yourself in the now moment, because every time we do that, we are giving and feeding willingly our energy to these other people, places, and things that we are saying are dark, negative, demonic. You don't have to give your energy to them. Bring yourself out. Disconnect yourself from that. Call your power back to yourself in the now moment. And if there are events that happen that make you upset, that shake you to your core, you can pray for everyone involved. And that's what I've personally chosen to do, because this has personally made me very, very sad. And I felt completely down all day about it yesterday. And after I gave myself enough time to really throw myself very far down that rabbit hole, I was able to pull myself out of it, become the observer, and then also observe what I needed, which was I needed to give myself a break from that, and I needed to give myself a hug, and I needed to pray for everyone involved, everyone, the artists, the people who worked there, the people who attended, and the lives of the loved ones that were affected. That's what I chose to do, because in the end, I feel like the only solution to things is to come from a pure place in your heart where you really just want things to be better for everyone. So I'm choosing to not buy and feed into this duality of this person is evil and this person's got this agenda and this and that. I'm done with that. I'm so bored with that. That's the old paradigm. There's no space for that in where we're headed. There's really not. So you can choose to be a part of that, and that's your choice, and I won't judge you for that. I'm not you. I'm not on your journey. Our souls have different paths, but I'm choosing to remain in this space of neutrality and going back and forth between neutrality and compassion energy and bringing myself back to my presence. So that is pretty much all I want to say about that. If this resonated, or if you have any thoughts about this, please go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Please be respectful, be kind, and that's it. Have a beautiful one.